Hey guys, Rick here with a tutorial for Silhouette Paint from Boris FX, the makers of Mocha. Now, the purpose of this channel is to learn as we go. I am far from a professional. I made this channel so hopefully we could all learn this stuff together. So, if you're wanting a super duper professional tutorial that knows all the nooks and crannies of the software, look somewhere else, I'm afraid. Um, but I'm hoping we can, like I said, learn something together as we go along and chart our progress in all sorts of different software and techniques and regarding filmmaking and art. So my approach is to show you how a basic newbie would tackle new software and a new way of doing things that they may have never done before. Like I said, just so we can learn together and chart our progress and see how much better we get. I started out, I made my own web series called White Space a few years ago. I knew nothing about visual effects then. I just dove into it. I learned what I could, did what I could. I did okay, I think. If you want to check that out, you can find it on YouTube. I'll put a link to it later. But I definitely feel I've gotten better. And a program like Silhouette Paint here, I think, is going to help me quite a lot with my filmmaking in the future. Just one simple thing I needed is, as I was editing my new short film, The Chop Shop, there's this scene where this victim pops out. She's actually supposed to be a ghost, but as you can tell, she's just looks like a normal girl. I couldn't afford to do any special effects or makeup effects on set, so I just figured I would do what I could in post or just leave it. But doing it in post, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I just figured maybe I would just leave it as it is and hope it came across well. But as I was editing the scene, I realized when she pops out at the mechanic, he's supposed to be afraid of what he's seeing, but all he's seeing in the normal footage is just a regular girl who needs help, and that's not really that scary at all. It's concerning, sure, to people, and then he might try to help her and not everything, but he's definitely might not react the way that he does in the film. So as I was editing, and I kept thinking, I wish there was something I could do to make her scarier. And then I realized I could use the After Effects tools of masking and roto and all that other stuff. And it just happened, I just happened to see an ad for Silhouette Paint. So I checked it out. So it's serendipitous, I guess. And I saw what it could do, and I was pretty darn impressed. And I thought, all right, yeah, this could probably help me in the future. I mean, I use the built-in Mocha After Effects plugin all the time. So, and it just so happened that Boris FX was having a great sale going on. So I got Mocha Pro and the Silhouette Paint bundled together for a really good price. And yeah, so I gave it a whirl, and I figured, okay, how can I make this girl scarier without doing so much work, roto work, that I would have to do in After Effects? And Silhouette Paint gave me the answer. So I'm just going to give you a quick, dirty run through of what I did and show you some of the pitfalls I had along the way. As well, I'm going to leave the mistakes in because, we learn from our mistakes, right? So, I mean, feel free to skip the mistakes if you want. Because I actually did this a few weeks ago, finished editing a few weeks ago and did effects. So I can't quite remember exactly the paint settings I used and everything in Silhouette Paint when I did it and things like that. But it'll give you just the basic idea of exactly what I did. So anyway, as you see, here's our victim. She's looking normal. So yeah, you play it through. She's asking for help. Then here's the effects. I figured I wanted to change her color. I knew that, but just changing her color and making her a little ghostly just wasn't enough. It still wasn't quite scary enough for me. So I thought of just changing the color of her eyes to like white ghostly eyes, that you see a lot, or maybe black, just black pupils, things like that. But still wasn't quite scary enough for me. So I figured, well, she's a victim, and what the bad guy, for lack of a better term right now, is doing to his victims is pretty gruesome. So I figured, okay, I'll just try to make her eyes look like they were gouged out. So that's the direction I went with, and you'll see how I did that in Silhouette Painter. So here I am. First thing we need to do, as you see, this was hard because she started out in the shadows. So I'm just going to scrub through the timeline here. You see, there's the original footage. Now you want to find a good reference point to start with, like where most of her face was in the light, and then we can go from there. But first, we need to track this. So we'll go up to our roto, and we'll need to create a new spline. Basically, get as much detail as you can. And I usually use an X spline, like you would normally do. I just need to do a bit of maintenance here. First, let me create. First I'll create the spline around. That's pretty good shape. See, I already had an old layer here. I'm just going to delete that, because what you need to do is you need to attach the spline to a layer. So you want to go to add a layer. And just attach that spline to that layer. I'll delete the old layer. And now what you need to do is add a tracker. Silhouette Painter has 3 different trackers, but I usually use just the regular Mocha tracker. We don't need perspective for this, so I turn it off. Select that layer. Everything's looking good. And now we just want to track forward. And I'm just going to speed it up for your convenience. So get enough track. As you can see, you don't have to do, like I said, and you don't have to do anything fancy. And this is, like I said, basically, I watched some tutorials on basic stuff like this, but there was nothing quite exactly out there for what I was doing. So I was just, kind of learning with the paint process as it went. So now that we have our track, we want to go back to paint. And now, like I said, find a good spot where she's mostly in the light to start with her face. And I'll just do a quick stroke or two to give you a quick idea before I go on to more detailed painting. But you need to click this clone tool. Make sure your source is set to output. You want to make sure the source match move box is checked. And then, most important, you need to make sure the transform is selected to the layer that you just made in the roto. So now what we're going to do, I'm just going to go from current to end for the paint process. We're going to click on our color brush. As for me, I just use basically like a gray, and yeah, that's about good right there. Alright, so I'm just going to do some strokes. Like I said, I'm not doing anything other than just giving you a general idea right now, and to show you how it's going to track along. So you want to make sure you have match move selected. Very, very important. Now you're going to want to click the layer, click the stroke you just made, and then play the selected events forward, and you'll see how it matches up with the footage. And I'll speed this along again for your edification. As you see, it's tracking pretty well. It's doing a pretty good job. It made me quite happy. And like I said, there are some pitfalls. Sometimes when I was doing this, I was getting some errors. I can't remember exactly what the errors were, but it was some sort of error. I believe support told me it had to do with the cache, and I would have to clear, try clearing it. And I think basically a clip can sometimes be too long for it, and so you're gonna have to watch out for that. What the length of the clip might cause issues. Alright, so I'm just going to delete that stroke, and I'm going to get into a more detailed idea of what I actually did. And yeah, play with their brush settings, set it to whatever you think's appropriate. Obviously, for my purposes, I didn't want it to be 100% opacity, because we want to see the details in her face when we paint. So right now, I'm painting on normal. Now, there's three different ways you can paint. You can paint on normal, and it will just basically put paint over everything, like any program would, like Photoshop, whatever. If this was 100% opacity, obviously you wouldn't be able to see any details in her face. But that's not what we want to do. We want to paint on color, I found out. What color does is it actually preserves the details in the footage. So now when I switch to color, you'll see details come out even more, because it's not really painting over all those little details, which is pretty great. Normally I'd be, as you can see, quite a few screw ups here. Like I said, it's been a while since I did this, and I'm not using my my Wacom like I usually would. I'm just using the mouse to paint right now, which is kind of silly. I probably should have used my Wacom instead, but I just wanted to make this quick, like I said. So yeah, I'm just, like I said, just keep playing until you get the look you want. made a mistake a few times of stopping and restarting my stroke. And I was having some issues with the eraser. I'm not sure what that was. I'm gonna have to double check on that again. Like I said, I'm novice to this software. I don't know many of the ins and outs. I'm learning as I go. I'm gonna learn along with you guys. Just like I'm also learning, relearning actually, 3D Studio Max and other programs, because I'm actually gearing up to make hopefully a feature film at some point. But I'm also going to still be making a lot of series of short films, and I want to make a bunch of tutorials and do the learning process with those short films with you guys. And I appreciate any tips and comments below that you guys can give me. If you know a better way of doing things that I haven't figured out yet, any advice, that would be great. I would love to have that. Sorry it's taking so long here. I think I'm just gonna... I think at this point I just said, alright, let's just do whatever. Like I said, I'm not gonna get too detailed with the brushwork right now, like I did with the original. I'm just gonna do a quicker, dirtier version to show you what I did. So I think that's good enough there for that. Now I want to switch over to detail and bring some of those details back. Now we're just painting on the details, and we have to adjust the brush for that. I will say I'm pretty impressed with Boris, the way they reached out to me after I bought this software. I generally don't have that happen too often. Yeah, like I said, they helped me solve an issue I was having, and everything, you know, like most software can seem a bit daunting at first, but once you start knowing where stuff is, you find out a lot of stuff is a lot easier than it looks. And I know there was a couple of features I still think it could use though. Mainly to do with like masking and things like that. I would like to see better control over like masking and things like that. There's I can't remember exactly what I was wishing I was able to do that it had built in, but hopefully I'll remember that, and I'll comment on it later. So as you see, I painted in some details, and now I'm just going in and starting to gouge out her eyes. You know, I had to play quite a bit with this to get the look that I got in After Effects, or the clip I showed you earlier, and to bring this into After Effects. It's, you know, obviously you need a lot of more subtle painting work here, you know, with the shading and things like that to hopefully, you know, sell the idea that she has no eyes. But again, I'm not gonna go crazy and do all the detailed stuff that I did last time. I'm just showing you how you can achieve a look like this, or that I did with Silhouette Paint. So yeah, basically I'm just adjusting, you know, brush softness and opacity, and just, like I said, trying to get it to look a little more again, this probably would have been easier if I was using my Wacom. But as you can see, her eyes are starting to look a little more realistic in the way they might just be sockets. So bring back some more detail here. So as I was saying, so if you can make a complete novice visual effects guy happy with what the software is using and not make it too difficult to learn, and you're able to achieve some good stuff with it, then you've done a really good job as a company. So, but as I was saying, there's always room for improvements, like there is with everything. But I find this to be a lot easier to do than trying to get a perfect roto in After Effects. Because in After Effects, obviously, you can't paint like this. So it's just, way more work, especially if you want to change the color of her skin and then add the missing eyes. There's quite a bit more steps in After Effects. So here I go. Now I'm just go ahead and playing the paint events forward. I'm speeding it up for you. As you see, it's doing a good job. Tracking again. You might have to do this a couple times or more to get it perfected. Like sometimes I find like the eyes might move a little too much, things like that. So maybe you want to play with your tracking more, things like that. But I mean, it's up to you. How yep. It's up to you how you how realistic you think you should have it. But now I'm scrolling back. You see, I'm gonna play. Just really gonna play it forward. Now, as you can see, like her eyes are moving a little too much. So that's things like that you'll just have to make adjustments on. But that's pretty much the gist of it. That's what I did. Anyways, appreciate it, guys. Like I said, I'm here to learn this along with you. So if you're searching, like I said, for all the great features and exactly how to use them, there's lots of great YouTube professionals out there who know the ins and outs way better than I do. So, but I would love it if you guys took this journey with me and helped me along the way, and maybe I can help you along the way, and let's see if we can get better. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll be back with another tutorial, probably on the latest short film I'm working on. This one's going to be really interesting. I'm going to be using 3D Studio Max and all, a lot of cool effects work. I may be even using some Silhouette Paint in there, things like that for the next video as well. And so if you like it all what you saw, please subscribe, please like, and be on the lookout for more. And you can check out my short films I made and the visual effects I made. And if you guys have any requests on how I did a certain effect and maybe you want a video on that, please go ahead and mention that in the comments. And I'll see what I can do. Alright, thanks everybody.